Moving right along, we have Batteries Not Included. This film, I think, tends to be a kind of a forgotten film. This was a film produced in the late 80s, trying to think, 1987, and this is a really good story, and this is what I was talking about, you know, the Spielberg movies I loved, particularly of the 80s. I really liked films like Batteries Not Included. I don't have Harry and the Hendersons. I may pick that up sometime. I know, because that's always around for $5. This one was $5 too. It's Batteries Not Included. This film is about these residents who live in this apartment building, and they're about to be evicted, and they have nowhere else to go. And because some big shot is going to build a huge skyscraper on top of their apartment, but he can't build this apartment or build this skyscraper as long as this apartment building is standing. And the problem is, this apartment building is historic, and the attendants are really wanting to preserve it, but even the old people, played by Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy, have a cafe that's underneath it. Matter of fact, it's a little sad about Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy's part, because she has Alzheimer's really bad, and there's a little bit of a story going on there. And Hume Cronin, who were real husband and wife in real life, you know, play this couple. They're the ones that's kind of the leader of the bunch, and there's this guy here. He's getting sparked. He's an artist. She's just a regular female who's about to be a single mom, because she is pregnant throughout the film. And these people are about to be run out of this apartment building until Hume Cronin prays for some help. And basically, these flying saucers come, and they take care of business. They clean out the bad guys, and of course clean up the whole entire building. It's a cute little movie. This was originally supposed to be what was called a Amazing Stories story, which was a mini-series that Spielberg produced for NBC in the late 80s, early 90s, and it was kind of a Twilight Zone homage type show, and it had like strange stories, and there was more fantasy-like stories, and this was supposed to be one of them, but Spielberg liked the story so much, he said, make it into a full-length movie. And it's well worth it watching it. Even though some of the effects may seem a little bit cheesy, but I think it's pretty good for 1987. Some of the effects, no CGI, it's all model work, and it's all optical printing, so that's what I was trying to say. Trying to multitask at the same time. Next one is 1995's Casper. Again, computer-generated imagery was taking off, and they were looking for projects that were impossible to tackle, and why not a live-action version of Casper the Friendly Ghost? I really enjoyed this one as a kid. Of course, it had Christina Ricci in it and Bill Pullman. Bad thing about this DVD, it was only released in full screen. Plus, some of these others I bought only in full screen because I was dumb. Just bought the DVD at the time and wasn't thinking about director vision. Next one is Catch Me If You Can. This is probably one of my least favorite Spielberg films, I will be honest with you. When he tries to do comedy, it doesn't really work. course, I was probably used to seeing, more big budget special effects movies. This isn't. It's a character-driven piece where actually characters are acting. They do give some good performances in it by Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, but it's all right. I would personally recommend Minority Report. Any of the other Spielberg films of the 80s and 90s over this. This is definitely at the bottom. I will be honest, I avoided The Terminal. I avoided that one like the plague because I heard that stunk. And that movie had no business being out in the summer or being made at all. Next one up is a film directed by Martin Campbell. Spielberg produced The Mask of Zorro. And I always get them mixed up, the Mask or the Mark of Zorro. But this one's The Mask of Zorro. Anthony Hopkins and Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Very entertaining film of the late 90s, actually. And it's fun to watch because he's kind of a Antonio Banderas is, he's a bandit, and it's funny watching Anthony Hopkins turn him into this civilized hero known as Zorro. And this is a good one. I heard the second one, the Mark of Zorro, stunk, so I stayed away from that one. But I enjoyed this one. Next one up is, this is probably one of the few negative criticized Spielberg films. When this came out, it didn't get the best reviews. I actually like this one. I would prefer this over Catch Me If You Can in terms of, you talk about drama and pieces, dramatic pieces. It's not a big special effects movie, but it is definitely character driven. And the film is about this boy, true story about this boy who is living in Japan at the time, I believe. Yeah. Or he's living in Shanghai, and during World War II, and this is just before. It's just before Pearl Harbor had set, and so the Japanese were good people at that time. But then when the Japanese took over Pearl Harbor, they took over Shanghai and pretty much made Americans and the British hostages. It's seen through the eyes of this boy, who's played by Christian Bale. Matter of fact, this was his first starring role. He was 14 in this. Interesting film to watch. And it also has John Malkovich, and who can be a jerk in this film. And he's also very supportive of Christian Bale's character. We got Empire of the Sun. Next one, people don't really like this one, but this is actually what turned me back on to Spielberg in the new millennium, because this is right up his creek, and it's AI, artificial intelligence. A lot of people didn't like this. They thought he was butchering Stanley Kubrick. He was not. I will stand by him in saying that this was not a butcher of Stanley Kubrick at all, because most of the things that he was criticized for were Stanley Kubrick's ideas. And this film is kind of a modern Pinocchio, but the only thing is, this Pinocchio does not really have a ending that you would think. Of course, the boy, played by Haley Joel Osment, wants to be a real boy. the sad thing is in the movie, he cannot be a real boy. And I'm going to go ahead and spoil it for you. Basically, at the end of the film, what makes him real, makes him a real boy, is he dies a natural death. He dies in his sleep. And it's a movie that definitely a mother's film, because there's a lot of about mother's care and about the love of a parent to a child. The next two always made me bawl, especially this one when I was real little, because about being lost and separated from your parents, and it's American Tail. In American Tail 2, Fievel Goes West. I liked both of these. This one came out in '86. This came out in 1991. This one was a failure, though, but we still loved this as kids. It was cartoons. But this one always made me bawl because of the fact that the character is, he's small, he's little, and he gets separated from his parents and his siblings, and it always broke my heart for some reason when I was real little. And plus, I thought this movie went on forever, which it's only an 80-minute movie. But I guess if you're 4 years old, 80 minutes is like an eternity. But even the second one is even shorter. It's like 76 minutes. It's really short. But I enjoy both those. American Tail series. I didn't like the TV movies so much. Next one, pretty much everyone's seen. Back to the Future trilogy. The Bob Zemeckis and Steven Spielberg collaboration. This, of course, is the old DVD set. I don't have the new one. Or the Blu-ray. I don't know if I would upgrade that or not. But, everyone's seen this. Everyone knows the story of Back to the Future. And all the quotes that it has with it. And last but not least, we have probably one of the most important films out of Steven Spielberg's career is Schindler's List. It was the only film that he won Best Picture for. And well-deserved, too, because, it was also his first R-rated film that he had directed. And I think it needed to be, because things like this, you can't be G or PG or PG-13 rated. You need to be hardcore and show the horrors of it. And even if with it being an R-rated film, he still stopped way short where he could have, because he said, because basically it was, I'm going to show you this from a distance. And what he showed was very horrifying. It was going on to the Jewish people during the Holocaust. Terrible things. I myself am Christian, and I would not wish this on anybody. And you know what? I think this man did the true Christian thing. Even though he was Roman Catholic, he took these people in and gave them life, a chance to live. And I think that's what Christ would have done. And so that concludes my list of all the Amblin Entertainment movies. I gotta wrap this up. I only got a few seconds because I only did this because I just saw Super 8. I saw Super 8, thought it was awesome. And, if you want, check the link to that at the first video, and you'll see my review on Super 8. I thought it was awesome. Talk to you later. Bye.